memories coming around Big Curve, we used to call this. The first view of Senafe, of Matara, the Mountain of the Cross, and wonderful. The village to the left.
So this is the newer section?
Yeah, yeah.
The city in the background. So behind us is Senafe. Having not been back here for 52 years, but it's very familiar. We would come up when we were kids here on our bicycles and go very fast down into the valley. But it's still the same with the beautiful rock formations and the two parts of the city. Now it looks like three parts of the city. And glad to be back.
How about the Volkswagen you were talking about?
Yeah. We used to have the Volkswagen bus. We would go from here to Adikaya to Asmara and then down to Ginda. So we traveled this road many times from Senafe.
So you used to go once a week from Senafe to Adikaya?
Once a week to Adikaya, and then once a year down to Massawa and then Arafali stay for about a month at Arafalo.
So why once a month? Once a week?
Once a month to Adikaya. My father was with a mission, and he would have a service there and singing, and he would talk in Saho, and it would be translated into Tigrinya. And similar to Arafalo, but we'd stay 1 month. We tried to go in the cool season because it's very hot the rest of the year.
So for me, the last time here was 2002. And I was doing some work at the University of Asmara, and my colleagues brought me here to see the village and the house where we grew up. It was wonderful. It was also very sad because the village had, in many parts of it, had been destroyed just before at the end of the war. And so all of us come today to see Senafe again in memory of my brother Samuel. Samuel was 2 years older than I am and 2 years younger than brother Paul. And we spent our childhood climbing the mountains, going to school, playing football with the children, visiting the ruins in Matara, learning just a little bit of Tigrinya, and this was our home, and it's wonderful to come back.
So we're thrilled to be back here. We've heard so many stories because Samuel was a true oral Eritrean telling us stories, and this road was important. One of the stories he's always told about this road is that one of the kids that lived with them and went to school, Vernon, would get on his bicycle and close his eyes and ride as fast as he could and crash somewhere along the way. And then the Mahaffy brothers would come and pick him up and sort of put him back together, and he would do it again. But this view is something that's a piece that can be gifted now to his children.
I grew up hearing stories about this landscape and hearing about my dad climbing the Mountain of the Cross and all of the other mountains around here. And it's amazing to see it in person and be able to see where he did all of that I've been hearing about my whole life.
You know, Dad talked to us and to any Eritreans he would meet in the United States about being Wode Senafe, son of Senafe. And until I came to Eritrea and also here to Senafe and see this view, I didn't really understand what it meant. So I feel really lucky to be here and see a big piece of who Dad was. And I feel lucky to have this opportunity to be here and see where he grew up.
Yeah, Dad so loved Eritrea, and despite only living here till he was 14, this was his one and true home. So just to be here and see Senafe is the most amazing thing, especially with all of the family and friends together.
Yeah, you'll be there because they're fixing this.
Go out for half a day or a day, and with a group of us, bring some ropes along. Find a good place to find.
Would you know the house? So before going to the hotel, would you know the house from here?
Oh yeah.
Okay, you lead us now. Okay, bye.
If it's still here.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
It was right to the right.
Which hotel? The Italian hotel?
You can see
Okay, which one? This?
might be the next building with the blue shutter. Anyway, this was the approximate location.
Okay.
This way first. Abzi.
Yeah.
Uwe. We can.
Paul's pretty sure this is
When you get old, you forget. So this was a school in behind here. Yeah, this was the soccer field. There's been new. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so this has changed quite a bit since we were here. But I think this has changed quite a bit since we were here. But if we can look inside a little bit, we can see right away the pension.
Yeah.
And what you're seeing here was it's built a little more around it to the right, but this was the soccer field that we used to play.
So how
Soccer.
close were you to the boulder? I mean, it was just at the foot, right? The house was.
Yeah, yeah. And this this hill behind we called Kite Flying Mountain. So we would make homemade kites and take them up the slope and then go kite flying.
Huh. The mountain where they have the cross is behind it.
Is behind, yes. You have to go down the road toward Matara
Yeah.
for 1.5 kilometers, and then the village of Matara, and that's where the village is built around the mountain.
So you think this was a school here, or what was it? Or
At the time, it was not a school. The
There was-
school is new. There were rooms like this going across, but then I think up to here, and then the soccer field extended a little bit in here. Of course, the soccer field looks smaller when you're
Oh yeah, well, yeah.
64 years old instead of when you're 6 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these houses look they look old.
These are old,
So
yeah.
they were probably there.
So they were here. And I think maybe what's a little new is some of the building to the right here, because I think the field went. And then there was a school in behind there, which my memory from 2002 was it was damaged a great deal in 2000 when the pullout happened, the Ethiopian soldiers. Yeah.
When we came to film here, we spent the night here. And
You spent the
after-
night here,
Yeah.
the pension,
Pension.
in one of the rooms along the
Yeah.
back,
And on this side.
and it in there. Yeah.
It was there.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
in your,
That was planted by
in your
our family.
in
Yeah.
your compound.
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe that could be the.
Yeah, this is it. We came in the front door, but this is a new door
Okay.
that wasn't here. But the
but that-
pension has expanded.
Yeah, but that so that was older. The house then.
That's the house. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. So all right. So what is it now? What's that? Pension?
It's part of it's a Senafe hotel,
Okay,
and the
that's-
pension are
this
I don't know if it's two different businesses or the same one.
Okay. Wow. So maybe we can go inside and see if
Someone is
looks-
there.
Or
Yes.
looks familiar or something.
So this was our living room.
Okay. Well, we can go inside and then push the So does it look very familiar? The ceiling and all.
Not the ceiling, because in 2002 the roof was taken, the windows were taken, the doors were taken, the electrical wiring was taken, so all there was the tile floor and the walls. And I remember the tile floor, especially in the room that used to be my father's study.
So that was.
That's around to the right, I think.
Okay. So I think it would be. We can ask the elders who are here. Maybe they might. know
Yes,
exactly.
yes.
ሰላማት ይሄን ከመጠን እዚኦም እንዳ መሃፊ እዮም ዝበሃሉ ቀደም እንዳ መሃፊ ኣብዚ ነይሩ ሕጂ ኤዋ ኣብዚ ዓዲ እቲ ሕጂ እዚ ኣብዚ ተወሊዱ ዓብዩ ክሳብ 12 ዓመት ተዓብዩ ዓብኻ ኣብ ደገ ኣሎ እሱ ከዓ ክሳብ 14 ዓመት ኣብዚ ተወሊዱ ሕጂ ኣብዝታት እዮም ዓብዮም ሕጂ ቅድሚ 16 ዓመት መፂ ነይሩ እሱ ግን በቲ ኩነታት ታሽ ይኮነ እታ ዓበ ሓዉ ግን ቅድሚ 52 ዓመት ይኸይዱ ሕጂ ኣብዚ ተመለሱ እዚ ገዛና ነይሩ እዚ ኮነን ገዛና ባህሉ ፀኒሖ እሱ እዚ ገዛና ዝመስል ነይሩ ይብል ኣሎ ተዓብኻ እሱኻ ንእሽተይ ካ ኣይትፈልጥን ኢኻ ኣነ ዝፈልጥ እሱ ካ በቲ ዘሎ ይዝብሎ ዘሎ ሕጂ ሲ ትፈልጥዎ እንድሕር ኮይንኩም ብወረ ብገለ ምናልባሽ እንተፈሊጥኩም እንዳ መሃፍ እዮም ዝበሃሉ እዚዳ نعم كن حكي قدم ممكن جمرينا يلا فلطوا عندها تذكيرهم قالوا ان شاء الله ومخان يغير عندي بجزء هو تغيره قال ها او حج لا ما يقدم يعني لا 50 كلنا they said they came from another place they wouldn't know but I was telling them that if they know anybody then they can take a look at them. So that's the test between Paul and trying to see who's going to be one. So Peter totally thinks this. So here, let me give you this. You can hold it and then just make sure it's close.
This is the stove where my mother used to make gat every night, and it was in the kitchen. So this would have been used by our family until 1966, when we left to go back to the United States. But she also baked bread here. There was a wonderful Eritrean woman who helped her every day in the kitchen. And I remember many meals being cooked on this stove. It's still in very good shape. Yes, yes, yes.
So Paul didn't pass because he said he was on the other side.
I have an unfair advantage. Paul, I was here 16 years ago, and Paul was here last 52 years ago. So in very good condition. Mm-hmm.
So the compound was this.
No, the compound was a little bit bigger.
Okay.
I think we used to have a magogo in here. And then further on, we had a fig tree and a garden and a compost pile. We had many fruit trees.
Okay, so all of that would be a
Yes, but there are some new walls that are built.
This is the house.
All right, Paul, here's Mom's wood stove.
Okay, let me say something. So I was trying to recognize the house, but they've changed many things around here, especially in the front. But just now I met my friend Abraham outside, who I used to play soccer with. And so he told me I'd grown very old. He didn't he didn't think he recognized me, but he confirmed that yes, indeed, this was where we used to live. So Peter was right.
First time.
So is your friend outside?
He said he'd come back. He's going to go get some sleep. But,
Oh, okay.
he used to play soccer with us.
How did you You were just walking,
up, yes.
walking up and he says, I'm Ibrahim?
He introduced himself. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. We missed that one. Huh? We missed that part. So yeah, the stove you see. You remember that stove?
Yeah.
Okay. So this garden, so similar, right?
Also similar.
Yeah.
And this building, the yellow one, is where my oldest brother James and Paul used to sleep.
So this one here.
The yellow one, yes. I think,
They built the front side on
Yeah,
it.
but that one was okay.
Wow.
and
Interesting.
the kitchen was over there.
Yeah, so he's saying, but there's something on this side.
Okay,
You might follow,
okay,
maybe there's
yes.
something.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh my goodness.
yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Abzi? It's a boat. Yes. Mm-hmm. So here is where we had a garden. Yes, of course. So, and what I see here is the bathtub that we used to use. And the water for the bathtub was warmed on the wood stove. And I was the fifth boy. And so the water was used first for John, then James, then Paul, then Samuel, and then for me. And then after me, my sister Mary and Elizabeth got new water. We had some guests who would stay in the rooms in the back, and most of this was garden. It was the soil is very good.
And this was our good neighbor,
Roma.
the hill Roma, who used to live there. I broke her window once with a slingshot. I was practicing, and it went over, and I heard the glass tinkle, and Mrs. Roma came. Did not like it at all. She came to see my mother right away.
You have to explain yourself.
Yeah. And
This was garden, terraced
really.
garden.
And yours, or was it a neighbor's?
It was ours pretty much.
Our garden, and each of the children had responsibility for part of the garden to take care of it and weed it and kill the scorpions that we found in it. Yeah.
And I think Samuel tried to trade. I think Samuel's story was that he traded with some children that didn't necessarily want to do gardening but would do something else. And is that true?
Our currency was sunflower seeds. And so if we wanted to barter for work or whatever, we would trade with sunflower seeds.
So he has many stories of being in the garden and the trees and the grapevines.
I
Yes.
think the goat is afraid of you.
So basically, all of this was from that time, right?
Yeah.
The garden is pretty much the same.
Pretty much the same and very good soil.
Yeah, we had rhubarb over here. We had berries up top, kind of in the middle.
And fig trees, and there was another fruit we had, Paul, next to the upper plums, and was it mango? I can't remember.
I don't think so.
So that restroom, that part was also already there.
No,
This
so
was
this
built later.
this wall is new.
Okay.
Yeah, so,
So
it
there-
was
there was
open.
open.
It was open.
Ah.
Yes, open with garden everywhere.
This part was not there too.
This part was not there.
Okay, so this whole place was open.
Yes,
From there up.
up to
From
here,
here all the way to the.
except for the rooms in the back. Those
Yeah.
were here. Yeah.
What were these for?
No, so these weren't here at the time. There were no rooms here. These were from our time for guests. Yes. Yeah.
Oh wow, unbelievable.
And I still see some fruit trees there. I wonder if those are perhaps very old fruit trees, although they look young. No,
No.
no. So I think this wasn't here.
So, Isaiah, did you see behind the cross from here, the view?
Yeah, that's the cross from here. You see?
Right.
Bars
Yeah.
was part of the Magogo and storage, but it ended here.
This looks like old. This is a lord.
Roma,
It's a lady.
a lady.
Where-
Yeah,
where
she was.
She had kids and stuff like that.
She,
She's Italian.
She was Italian.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Italian.
Okay.
Mhm.
Oh wow.
She was Eritrean, but she married an Italian.
Ah, okay. She's not the one who owned the restaurant. Was she?
No, that was
Okay,
Ducey. Ducey.
So did we pass the restaurant?
We did.
It's-
That was on down at the end of this row, but I think that restaurant maybe is destroyed.
ቀደም ዝነበረ? Oh, okay. But how does that?
Watch the plants.
Okay, the apples you planted your parents planted.
I think so.
This apple.
The
I
apple
think
trees.
it's
There
like-
were
yeah.
many
Yeah,
trees.
so
There used to be a fig tree here also.
Ah, okay. Yeah, you can say something.
So the owner of the hotel is still the owner? Is that right? She brought a picture from 16 years ago, 2002, when I came to Senafe with my colleague from the University of Asmara, Barhani Girmay, and she showed me the hotel, and this is Barhani's daughter, Hermela Aiden. So
Okay, we have a soccer reunion here.
okay, okay. Here, Paul.
Come on in. Out in the field right there.
So
And this is Peter, of course.
Abraham.
Nice meeting you.
So I have a question for you.
Yes.
Who was the best soccer player in my family?
Here, make sure you get that.
I knew you
Paul
would
was
say
the
that.
best player.
And you should meet Samuel's wife behind you, Renee.
Yeah, how are you? Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you. Thank you.
And
What's your name?
Thank you. Renee.
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 Very good.
And
We grown up here at this area.
this is
I know. What is Santa Fe?
Yes, yes, Senafe.
Camila
Camila. Abraham.
Nice to meet you. All right, nice to meet you.
And
I'm
Hannah.
Asfaha.
And back there is Sylvan.
and Sylvan is his son. So,
Okay. Hi, Sylvan.
Nice to meet
Yeah.
My condolences.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Abraham.
Nice to meet you.
Hi.
Hello, I'm
Hello.
Cheryl.
I'm
Very
Asfaha. Nice to meet you. Hello. And welcome home.
بعد بطرس يا okay.
so Asfahan now lives in Virginia. He used to work for the United Nations, right?
Yes, yes.
And Abraham, you stayed in Santa Fe?
Yes, yes.
Yes,
I'm here.
yes, I see. For all these years, yes.
Yes, you were looking for my brother Asfa.
Yeah.
Because he was best player, like the same thing. Like
Yeah. Is he your older brother?
But yes,
He's your
my
older
brother.
brother, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Couple of years older.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Less than 2 years.
is your family in the village?
Yeah, unfortunately our parents passed.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. But most of my brothers are abroad.
Okay. Okay.
I also live in the United States. I came here on vacation.
You can talk into the camera.
What
There,
can I
we have
say?
some brothers and sisters
Yes.
back in the States who weren't able to come, so they're interested in understanding what we find in Santa Fe.
Yeah. Well, we always talk about the Mahaffys.
Yeah.
We remember very well.
Well, tell us
Yeah.
a little bit about yourself. You
Well-
moved to the United Nations when? You're retired now.
Oh yeah, well after finishing elementary school here, 8th
Yeah.
grade,
Yeah,
I moved to Asmara because there was no high school here.
of course, yes.
And then I finished high school in Asmara and went to Addis
Yeah,
to join the university. But I didn't finish.
I see, yeah.
We had to leave the country.
Yes,
Yes. I went to Kenya, continued working and studying.
Yeah.
Then I joined the United Nations,
As
the
a
United Nations
representative.
Environment Program.
Oh,
no,
the
no, as a
environmental
simple
program.
worker.
I see.
As a simple worker.
I see.
Then I continued working for the UN,
Yeah.
moved from Kenya to Geneva to Switzerland, and then I lived in Switzerland for 5 years, then on to Germany, where I worked for the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Yeah.
Very important work.
Yes, it was important.
Yeah.
Then I retired.
Yeah.
Now my wife and I live in Virginia, in Alexandria, where we bought a small condo, joined our daughter and grandchildren,
Cool.
and so on.
Yeah.
Now I came to visit my brother here, Abraham. Yeah, that's it. Well, it's a small world.
It is,
I'm glad you came. Please accept our condolences.
Thank you very
Yes,
much,
we're
yes.
very sorry for your loss.
Yeah, thank you.
And you're welcome. And it was nice of him to think of Senafe, where he grew up. Was he born here?
Yes, in
Yes.
Asmara.
He was born in
in
Asmara,
yeah.
but he grew up here.
up here, yes.
Yes,
So
we.
40.
Yes, our mother tells us a story that affects you as well. We went through some kind of sickness that every child would do. No, it's not polio. It's something that chicken pox.
Yeah, chicken pox,
something
yes,
like
yes,
that.
yes.
Yeah, and then we have a tradition. Whenever we have that kind of sickness, there is a tradition of treatment, and that treatment is purely traditional, nothing to do with scientific thing.
Yeah.
And we were, like most children, cured. And you guys had it from us, I think, either from us or from somewhere else. And your mom came to my mom to ask her what kind of treatment she gave. She couldn't explain, so she made some coffee and some popcorn and all sorts of goodies, just to make us happy. And my mother advised her to do the same thing, and apparently she did this.
No, I remember.
And apparently it worked because he survived.
I remember very well because I was too sick to play soccer.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I was in bed, so I'd throw the soccer ball over the fence so everybody else could play, and then when they're done, they'd throw it back over.
All right. So that's a childhood memory. So we're really happy to have you here. It's amazing that your dad thought of this place as your lasting resting place, and we are really honored. And it's a good coincidence that I'm here, and I'll be joining you tomorrow at the funeral. So thank you again and welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Mahaffys sons and Bashai Bene's sons, they were close friends. We had good communication with all of them, and we were talking, we were joking, we were playing football with them. I remember that Paul was the best player in our team. Second player, Peter. Third player, same.
Samuel.
Yes. Everything was okay, but I'm very sad that it's completely changed at this time. The situation. But of course, there is peace.
There is peace.
I want to continue this peace for a long time,
That's right. Absolutely.
for eternally.
Yes, so do we.
So I tell you that welcome to our country.
Yes.
I'm very glad that you came, that you visited our country this day. So this is the only thing what I'm telling you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you.
The only thing I can say is that Peter or Paul
Paul,
were best
playing
players because
players.
they had the ball.
Yes.
So you let them score, because if you don't let them score, there won't be ball.
Isaias,
So it's hard. I don't know. We have to see this match.
Yes.
Isaias, you have half the story.
Okay, let's see.
We had nostalgia. Yes.
We had the ball, but we also had shoes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So we had to be very careful. because
Yes, exactly,
we didn't want to hurt
exactly.
anybody when we kicked.
Peter, I remember that you were the best player at that time.
Yeah, after
But no, after fall. Paul, yes, you are young.
Yeah, I am young.
Yes, yes. Peter is
Young.
So 64 years
You're
old.
64?
Yeah.
64.
Goodness, you don't look 64.
I'm 66.
66.
Now,
Okay.
this year, January 2,
Yeah.
my birthday. Yes. Thank you very much. Welcome to our country.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you. Yeah, that happened. Yeah, that happened. She had to rebuild everything. This was a very major hotel in Senafe, and until 1998, and then it took them 3-4 years again to build it up. So she was here with her granddaughter, who was 9 years old.
Oh,
So I have a picture of myself. Yeah, that's fine. Oh, wonderful.
this is what I heard. This one. This whole compound.
Yeah, I think my memory is that the two gates. No, just one gate, and nobody to play.
So what position was he playing?
Oh,
There's no position.
Okay, thank you.
We had a neighbor where he had a ball. Actually, I had soccer in the ball, but sometimes he had the ball.
Yeah,
So he would play.
yeah,
And then the neighborhood would get money,
yeah.
contribute, and play.
Yeah,
Now he becomes everything.
yeah.
If he's a penalty kick, he kicks the
gets-
goalkeeper, and then he becomes the goalkeeper. If he has to kick, then he kicks the because he has everything, right? So if somebody misses, he gets mad.
Yeah.
What about your sister Elizabeth, Mary?
Yeah.
You remember them? I remember them. Yes. They grown up with us.
Steve is Silver, and she works in a daycare for infants, for small children.
المشكلة بتاع جيرو ما بزم تصير تصوت نيرو في بيتي Paulos, Petros. So you can decide أنا في كل تعبرنا ما
Okay.
Somebody just made the name up.
Yeah, I think it had Italian. It's probably from Anfrey. So, Paul, we're going to tell the story. We used to come from Senafe on our bicycles past Matara down the road here, often on Saturdays, and we would visit the archaeological ruins. Do you remember?
Of course.
Yeah. And wonderful to discover the civilizations that were here before. The Oxumite civilization, and then before that,
On top of the Sabaean
on top,
ruins.
and then on top of that, some of the Sabaean civilizations through here. So there were many things found here, excavated by an Italian French archaeologist. Yes,
yes.
French archaeologist. And there were tombs and rooms, perhaps a church. So,
as you can see the view, all of this is similar. On the
Yep.
other side, you see also there are some ruins on that side.
Up the hill there were several tombs
Yeah.
that were very, very steep, and they excavated those, but it would go straight down for many meters, and then off to the side there would be fancy stonework where the person was buried, and they excavated those as well.
this is up on the hill here.
So where is Humphrey? Where was he excavating?
So when we were growing up, so this would have been the late 1950s, early 1960s, Anfrey was excavating here.
Yeah, where was he stationed?
All of
All of
these,
it,
all of
this
these,
He
yes.
lived in Santa Fe,
Oh, so he used to come from
and
Used
he
to come
came
here
down.
every
He
day.
had many laborers, and they were digging away every year. I think not the whole year, but he would come every year.
So you
Okay.
were here as
Well,
We weren't here as helpers.
No, no.
We were just curious and wonderful to discover the history a little bit and learn about it. Yeah.
So you said about the birds. Who are the birds?
So the Birds was another missionary family that for some years lived in the compound we drove past near the village of Matara. And they were only in Matara for a few years, and then they moved to Massawa. But two of their children remained in Senafe and lived with us because my mother ran the Senafe day school for our family and some others. Yeah.
So how about the story you're talking about? You're telling us about bringing them water. So
Yeah. So when we would go from Senafe to the Birds house in Matra, the water would come from the village of Senafe in big 55-gallon barrels, and it would be rolled down the road to Matra. And sometimes the barrels would start going very fast, and they were very heavy, so it was difficult to control them. But we didn't roll them, but there was a hired person who rolled them, and we would ride our bicycles next to it because it was very exciting.
the barrel drivers, of course.
The barrel drivers, yes.
Got to have a cat.
A couple times a week. So whenever they needed water, all of their water came from there, and they had a pump and a tank on top of their house. So yeah. So where is it?
That, and then you can have that.
Okay. So and where was it that I think there. We could poke our heads there. Peter, Paul, and Mick. So everybody say Bello Kello.
Bello Kello. That's the name of the two families.
Bello Kello.
Bello Kello.
Yeah. Okay.
So I went up to there. We didn't go.
And then if you keep going to the right, then you come to the cable. And
I know when they showed me the cable, I said, I want to be a filmmaker, but nah, I'm not that.
I want to be.
Yeah, we went there.
Because that's a climb.
Yeah, it has a climb.
Yeah.
But we didn't go.
No, the one
to
the right.
Yeah, we went there.
Because
It's a difficult climb.
Yeah, we went there.
Yeah.
But when I looked at that one, I said, it was like this.
I think you did the harder.
Like,
The cable is still there, though. I think, or
it
not?
was there when we were.
Because it's put up by the Italians. I don't know how strong it is.
About 10 years. Okay. Yeah. 10 years ago. So you see why one.
Yeah, here's the steps, Paul. It's all very solid rock. Very large stones. Built the same way they were describing in Massawa, with large stones on the bottom and then smaller stones on top. So there's much more underneath here, but it was never excavated. And a window.
You guys used to go play there?
We used to come here. This was a wonderful world down here.
So when you were all doing this, your parents knew that?
Oh yeah. Yeah, they were happy to have. So you remember this, right?
Yeah.
I think we discovered the town.
No, I know. We filmed here before. Yeah. You found the.
Then Entree didn't know what it was either. So the one place where there were steps going down, and then maybe other civilizations underneath. But,
I mean, the legend is that there's a connection between here
and
Aksum.
Yep. Yeah.
Go
Yes.
here, around. I
That
mean,
was
that's-
always. But
But
My
well,
goodness.
now we have to have what Paul is doing.
The radar.
That's right.
The radar, and
LiDAR,
find it.
LiDAR, satellite technology
That's right.
too.
I mean, that's the only way you can prove it.
we want to go try and find the graves, or should we?
No,
head
Yeah,
to-
let's come on, read the graves and then it's right up there. The obelisk and then
Okay.
the graves. Just a moment. It'll be nice to have a look there. The sun behind the obelisk. So remember when we had cover-ups, we went to cover up Paul, a visitor who was a linguist, came from the United States, and he was able to read it and translate it just from looking at it. Yeah, yeah. I don't remember what it said.
But when the Ethiopians came,
They destroyed it.
and then you see how they broke into
Yeah. Yeah.
pieces. So they had hired a French expert to put it together, but it didn't come together.
Oh,
So he had a problem. So they went and talked to Sao Masons,
mhm,
and then they came fix it this way,
okay, okay.
based
Okay.
on ancient tradition that they had from their parents. And
So there were some pieces missing. I think small pieces
that's
missing.
the way,
So
because they understood where the stone was gonna crack and all that. So what the guy was doing was he was not able to crack it, but they come and did crack
and
it.
it was always down right by the road.
Mhm.
Yeah,
But there were multiple ones, weren't there?
not here, just one here, but
Yeah,
in
there
other
were
places.
yeah. This one is Castle de Bello.
Or possibly around the back here. Up here, maybe. And this was just another church or something? I think it's right up. Yeah, right, but right here, the red. Yeah, here. Right here. So this site was tombs. There were fragments of teeth and bones discovered here. And it was probably from an earlier civilization than the Oxumites, I think, because they were buried with many artifacts. Whereas in Atulus, the graves were simple Christian burials. So Paul, they're here, about 5 of them, and then a lot more of them up further there. So you're remembering just exactly where they were. But our come 100 meters further, Paul. There are some more up there. Well, I think they found some little pots and some other things when they were excavating, many of which were broken. They also found some tools like knives and shaving tools made from obsidian, volcanic ash. Yeah. And I hope it it can be developed very carefully so that it can be preserved. Start walking here. Oh, okay.
You two with the mom, the background. So Peter,
Sure.
pull.
Hats on, hats off. No hats. Hats off to Matara. Super highway, freeway picture. Close up. I was just saying I had seen some fragments of pots and so on here.
It's been 52 years since I've been in Senafe. So it's it's a beautiful restaurant you have here. Congratulations. Yes. So, yes. Yes. It's very beautiful. It's an extraordinarily beautiful restaurant. I'm sure you'll be highly successful here. So, congratulations. Yes. Okay, did you want to say goodbye to Isaiah? So you're good? So everybody, Isaiah will say,
To raise our glasses to Senafe. To Senafe. And Wadikali, to a successful future in this beautiful restaurant, and to our hosts in this city, we toast you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So a friend of mine, his name is Marha, and he happens to be in Addis for business. But we had talked about when Samuel passed away, that he had mentioned that I thought it was his in a house that he was going to build a corner called the Mahaffys corner. So that we discussed about it 2 years ago, but when everybody was going to come, he was going to inaugurate it. So this restaurant was being rebuilt. So when I called him, we're coming, he said, oh, I'm in Addis, unfortunately, but I can contact my mom and we can arrange it by remote. So that was what was happening. So this is his mom, Wizara Lula. So we really would need to thank her for providing us this. And he had mentioned that the furniture was, put out just recently. Some of it's still not done. But since you're coming, he wanted us to have this kind of opening, unofficial opening of the restaurant. So this will be called the Mahaffy Corner, this whole place. They will have pictures, and then the name would be there. So that would be permanent Mahaffy's Corner. So he had asked me to bring 6 or 7 pictures. So we brought 6 or 7 pictures. So we're going to be framed and so forth. So Marha's idea is that Peter, Paul, Samuel, and all the Mahaffy children they're children of Senafe, right? But they ended up, being professors in chemistry in Canada and the US and so forth. So he wanted the kids of Senafe to inspire and to think and be like you. So that's the whole idea. He wants to have a permanent place. So if you have more pictures, he will add. So it will be a permanent place. So that's what Marha was doing. And then his mom was very helpful in doing that. So I'm going to explain what in Tigrinya. هراي مرها أركيو بالتقرينيا أجي زيوم سنعفة وليدهم زعبيو بيتر بول زيوم كلتا سنعفة وليدهم زعبيو أبز جزا أبيله سنعفة هوتيل تبل أبتا جزا يوم عبيهم توليدهم عبيهم بيتر ود 10 تخلت عمد كله يكابز خيدو مصدرهم مالتي بول كاني ود 16 عمد كله ينكيدو هجي كلهم توم صدرا خيدهم مالتي سامويل كم تفلطو زحاله فلط عمد عارفو هجي بعلت بيتون دقون يم بزيام ابزي مخنياتو سم تايلو اب سنعفه توليد سلا زعبخو اب سنعفه خير لنيد سلازي بخوميو هجي ساتهم كاني بول ابزي ورحي قال تخيد اب مارس نبلو اوتا ناتو حلافي ابو زعبي ساينتيست اب امريكا مالتي سلازي كابزي ود 16 عمت كيدو ابت زلعاله كونكولو قليل نغير ايكون سلازي قولو سنعفه እዚ ታትሪኦም ከብሉ ፒተሩን ቆሙ ማለት እዩ ስለዚ ናሽቱ ስለዘነበሩ ኣብዚ ዓቢ ከሎ ኩሉ ከም ዝኸባቢ ከም ተዓዲዮም ዓብዮም ስለዚ መርሃን ታይሉ እዚያ ሬስቶራንት ምስተኸፍተት ሓንቲ ኩርና ብሽም እንዳ መሃፊ ዝበሃል ጌርና ቶም ቆልዑ ኣብዚ ዓቢ ዘሎ ክሪእዎ ኣበይ ከይዶም ደቂ ሳሙኤል ካኒ ፊዚክስ ትመሃራላ ትወዳኣላ ጂኦሎጂ ተማሂሩ ወዲዩ ስለዚ ማዕድን ገለዘ ፍልጥ ማለት እዩ ተሓንቱን ቆም ስለዚ ኩሎም ኣብ ዓበይ ደረጃ በፂሖም ኣለዉ ስለዚ እንድሕር ሰሪሕና ተስፋ ነብር እንድሕር ኮይና እዚ ንኾነሉ ምክንያት ዝብል እዩ ስለዚ ኩሉ ግዜ ኣብዚኣ እንድሕር ኮይና ነዚ ከተማ ኣገዳሲ ብምባል ይመርሃ ስለዚ ወይዘሮ ሉና ብጣዕሚ ነመስግን ነዚ ስለዝገበሩና መርሃኻ ነመስግኖ ስለዚ እሱ ካኸም ዝበሎ እዚኣኻ ናይ ሽሻይን ታሹ ተብላ ይዞም ዘሎ ስለዚ ይቐኒልና ኣስክድክ ኣሽሕራይ ዝረሳኽዋ እዚ ኣንብበለ ኢሉ ነይሩ ብእንግሊሽ ስለዝኾነት ብእንግሊሽ ከምብበሎ so he asked me to read this make sure it's documented and he wants proof that I read it so it's December 27th, but it was changed to 2018, Senafe. Warm welcome to the Mahaffys, to your land of birth and childhood. It would, of course, have been a more complete and joyful occasion if the whole Mahaffy family were here today to celebrate the homecoming. We also mourn the passing of Dr. Samuel Mahaffy and a little time before that of Mother Arlena, who both harbored a deep love for Eritrea and its people. In all these somber feelings, however, we also take comfort that Eritrea and its people remain a cherished memory in the hearts and minds of the Mahaffys. And there are Eritreans who know the story of the Mahaffys and love them a lot. So from a limited knowledge I have of how the family arrived in Eritrea in the 1940s and its years spent around Senafe, I single out two important lessons in particular. The spirit of sacrifice and dedication the first Mahaffy couple, Pastor Francis and Mother Arlena, were bestowed upon by the Lord to serve the Eritrean community around Senafe and beyond the work of scriptures, language study and medical services. Two, the extraordinary intellectual pursuit and feats of the Mahaffys children who took on the difficult challenge of transitioning from rudimentary life and education taught in a homeschool in Senafe to a formal college set up in the United States. So the achievements in the years that followed, I believe, if recorded and narrated, would live to inspire young Eritrean children in and around Senafe and beyond to dream big and face up the challenges. The story would also help put Senafe on world map. So you already did, I see. So it's with this warm belief and vision that I, Merha Gabra Mariam, as one of the surviving members of the family of the late Gabra Mariam Ghebreyesus, who himself achieved remarkable things in his life, despite limited education and early years, passed as a shepherd boy not far from Senafe, dedicated the present corner, that would be this, in our newly opened restaurant to the memory and in honor of the Mahaffy family, whose parents blazed the trail for pastoral work and cultural studies in the Eritrean Southern Highlands and among the Eastern Escarpment communities, whose children at one time or another first came to the world in this land, took their first steps in these dusty streets, basked and played with other children in the neighborhood, perhaps discovered their lifelong passion in professional or academic pursuit, and most of all, continue to hold Eritrea and its people high in their hearts. On this somber but otherwise homecoming occasion, may I, by way of reminder, express my desire to see schools of varying levels, languages, and cultural study of our medical center open in the part of Eritrea in the name of and with the involvement of the Mahaffy family members. Finally, on the inauguration of the Mahaffy Corner as the Wadakara restaurant, the old name of the province in the part of southern Eritrea, I invite the guests to enjoy a free meal of hot shiro and injera. I regret to have been away on travel on this memorable occasion, but I assure you I'm working from a distance to help make the moment a memorable one. To long memory, affectionately, Merha. Okay, thank you. Okay.